The government is giving thousands of Australians cheaper interstate holidays with half-price airfares as part of a $1 billion tourism rescue package. But not everyone is happy, with some labelling the plan an airline bailout.
Ready for liftoff.
Australia's aviation industry needs to take flight. And the country's captain
We're powering up.
wants you on board.
This is another ticket to recovery.
A recovery desperately needed in places like Cairns, where streets are deserted, businesses are up for lease and the boats stranded.
It's time to get up to paradise and make the best of it. And this time you're doing it for your country.
So taxpayers will fund half the price of 800,000 tickets to destinations across Australia, including the Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Merimbula in New South Wales, Avalon in Victoria, Kangaroo Island, Alice Springs, Darwin and Broome. The flights will be off-peak, spread over 6 months from April the 1st, but you have to book by the end of July.
To keep people in their jobs, we've got to put planes in the air and we've got to put tourists on the ground.
I think this package for us ticks all the boxes.
But not for all airlines.
The bulk of the funds that will be spent by the government through this package will end up in Qantas's pocket.
There are no eligible flights within state borders, and while a ticket from Sydney to Avalon in Victoria will be discounted, one from Sydney to Melbourne will not.
It distorts the biggest airline market in Australia.
The government hopes taxpayer support will help keep domestic borders open. If they close, customers won't be charged to change their flights if they're on a like-for-like basis. But with aviation reeling from shutdowns, there's also government money to keep 8,600 workers in a job, $5 million loans for small and medium-sized businesses. Some fees for airlines will continue to be waived until the end of September.
There's no real support here for the tourism sector beyond aviation.
JobKeeper ends on March the 28th. Around 1 million Australians are on the wage subsidy. 20% work in accommodation, food and transport. The tourism industry has warned 300,000 jobs could be at risk.
We're going to see businesses close as a result of it. They're only open because of JobKeeper.
And for some of the nation's watering holes, that could mean last drinks.
Our sector, post 28th of March, is very worried about the level of redundancies.
The big ticket item for rebooting the economy is reopening international borders. That's reliant on the success of the vaccine rollout.
We know international is some time off. It's probably not going to happen until the end of October.
Or even later.
It's probably unlikely that normal international travel will be in place this year.
So prepare to take off on more holidays at home. Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
And there's anger tonight. Western Australia has been snubbed by the federal travel plan. Jacqueline Robson, 800,000 half-price airfares, but only one destination here.
Michael, Broome is WA's only subsidised tourism destination. The McGowan government says we've been ripped off. But could the Premier's strict border stance be part of the problem? Some think so. And for Perth travellers desperate for a cut-price getaway, there's not much on offer either. West Aussies keen to jump on a cheap flight, you've got one choice. Perth to Alice Springs slashed to around $200 each way, but for East Coasters heading west, Broome is the discounted pick.
This is a devastating blow for the tourism industry. It's actually going to take the visitors away from us in favour of Queensland and Tasmania.
The Kimberley hotspot is WA's only location on the cheap flight list. Compare that with 5 regional towns in Queensland and 3 in Tasmania.
The Liberal Party punishing Western Australia is actually disgraceful and outrageous.
Pretty obviously, Western Australians have been ripped off by the announcement. The focus on Broome is pointless in the middle of the peak season. That's not helping us at all.
But others blame our border closures for the Canberra snub.
For those who might still consider coming to Western Australia, there is that fear of the snap border closure and that you're going to be stuck in the wrong side of the border.
For tourist draw cards across most of regional WA and our capital city, there's bitter disappointment. Perth hotels are down to just 20% occupancy on average. City walking tour operator Ryan Mosney has had just 2 interstate visitors in 12 months, and border uncertainty is hurting.
The prospect of being turned away at the border or being forced into quarantine, why would you do that? It's if you could go somewhere where that isn't a possibility, that's where people are spending their money and planning their holidays.
So instead of just going straight into a hard lockdown, the minute there is one case that is of concern, we need a far more nuanced approach.
WA's Hotels Association says tens of thousands of sacked workers haven't been returned to the industry. Operators on the receiving end of this flight frenzy say more needs to be done.
I'd hate to see us come out the other end with half of our tourism industry gone.
Jacqueline Robson, 9 News.